Good morning. Today is day 69 of going through the Bible in 102 days. So, as you can see right here, as you can see on the title, this has been a really fun and really growing challenge to go through the Bible in such a short time span. Today, where we're at is we're finishing the book of Lamentations. So we're starting at Lamentations chapter 3, and then we will be going all the way to Ezekiel chapter 12. So this can be a good reading. I'm excited to get into it. Sorry about the delay. If you've been waiting, my computer died right before I could start the actual stream. But here we are. Things are working out great now, and we are going to get into the reading shortly. Before we do, if this is the first time that you are seeing this, well, I hope that this reading will edify and enrich and help to grow you spiritually in your spiritual growth and maturity. And what I do here is from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to about 8:30 a.m. I'm reading live, and then those lives they remain posted on the channel afterwards as well. Then on Saturdays, I get to read at 10 a.m. so that I can read with someone else. So this past Saturday, I got to read with my wife, Liv. It was really fun, really good reading. And then if you're interested, I do love just the collaborative nature of like studying the Bible with other people. And so I'd love to hear from you. If there's things that you notice in the text, like in any of the chapters that you want to make note of that can add to the discussion, I would love to hear from you, hear what you are noticing, and have this discussion about the Bible. So for that to happen, I can't see you. I don't know who's on, so let me know if you're on. Let me know. You can say hi, say good morning or something, but you can also write comments right in the chat saying what you're noticing in the text. And there's also a document for collaborative note-taking. If you want to add it to a specific chapter, then the whole document is broken down by book of the Bible and then further broken down by chapter in said book. And so if you want to add something to there, then that'll live on in this document. I've also got a document that I'll be taking notes in. These notes are basically just a few bullet point notes to summarize that chapter. And so as we go through, I'll be taking those notes. And if you're curious at all, if you're a visual person like me, this is where we are now in terms of our Bible reading. It's coming along nicely with the colors now. We're starting to see more and more actual progress. This is pretty cool. I enjoy seeing this, seeing it all together just like that. So right now we're here in the blue prophetic books, and then so Lamentations, which is the second book that Jeremiah wrote, which Jeremiah was what we were reading for most of last week. Now we are reading his second book, which we started on Saturday. So we're about to get into it. Before we do, the scriptures quoted are from the NET Bible, https://netbible.com, copyright 1996-2019, used with permission for Biblical Studies Press, LLC, all rights reserved. Let's pray, and then we'll read the word. Lord God Almighty, we thank you for this morning. We thank you that we have this opportunity, this time to read your word, to reflect on your word. God, you've given us your word. There's nothing that we've done that could earn us this gift of grace of having you and having your word. Lord, I pray that you would help us to truly appreciate and rejoice at this miracle that is having access to your word so freely, with such easy access to it like this. Thank you, Lord, that you've given us this access. May we appreciate it so much, and may we grow so much this morning. Use it to equip us, to sharpen us, and to grow us into maturity, into your likeness, Lord, as your Spirit moves in our hearts and works on us. I pray in your name, Jesus. Amen. All right, here we go. Chapter 3 of Lamentations. This is, I took a sneak peek with Liv the other day. This is going to be a longer chapter to start off the morning, and I'm excited about it. All right, chapter 3 of Lamentations. I am the man who has experienced affliction. From the rod of the Lord's wrath, he drove me into captivity and made me walk in darkness and not light. He repeatedly attacks me. He turns his hand against me all day long. He has made my mortal skin waste away. He has broken my bones. He has besieged and surrounded me with bitter hardship. He has made me reside in deepest darkness, like those who died long ago. He has walled me in so that I cannot get out. He has weighed me down with heavy prison chains. Also, when I cry out desperately for help, he has shut out my prayer. He has blocked every road I take with a wall of hewn stones. He has made every path impassable. To me, he is like a bear lying in ambush, like a hidden lion stalking its prey. He has obstructed my paths and torn me to pieces. He has made me desolate. He drew his bow and made me the target for his arrow. He shot his arrows into my heart. I have become the laughingstock of all people. Their mocking song all day long. He has given me my fill of bitter herbs and made me drunk with bitterness. He ground my teeth in gravel. He trampled me in the dust. I am deprived of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is. So I said, my endurance has expired. I have lost all hope of deliverance from the Lord. Remember my impoverished and homeless condition, which is a bitter poison. I continually think about this, and I am depressed. But this I call to mind. Therefore, I have hope. The Lord's loyal kindness never ceases. His compassions never end. They are fresh every morning. Your faithfulness is abundant. My portion is the Lord, I have said to myself. So I will put my hope in him. The Lord is good to those who trust in him, to those who to the one who seeks him. It is good to wait patiently for deliverance from the Lord. It is good for a man to bear the yoke while he is young. Let a person sit alone in silence when the Lord is disciplining him. Let him bury his face in the dust. Perhaps there is hope. Let him offer his cheek to the one who hits him. Let him have his fill of insults. For the Lord will not reject us forever. Though he causes us grief, he has compassion on us, according to the abundance of his loyal kindness. For he is not predisposed to afflict or to grieve people, to crush underfoot all the earth's prisoners, to deprive a person of rights in the presence of the Most High, to defraud a person in a lawsuit. The Lord does not approve of such things. Whose command was never fulfilled unless the Lord decreed it? Is it not from the mouth of the Most High that everything comes, both calamity and blessing? Why should any living person complain when punished for his sins? Let us carefully examine our ways, and let us return to the Lord. Let us lift our hearts and our hands to God in heaven. We have blatantly rebelled. You have not forgiven. You shrouded yourself with anger and then pursued us. You killed without mercy. You shrouded yourself with a cloud so that no prayer could get through. You made us like the filthy scum In the estimation of the nations, all our enemies have gloated over us. Panic and pitfall have come upon us. Devastation and destruction. Streams of tears flow from my eyes because my people are destroyed. Tears flow from my eyes and will not stop. There will be no break until the Lord looks down from heaven and sees what has happened. What my eyes see grieves me. All the suffering of the daughters in my city. For no good reason, my enemies hunted me down like a bird. They shut me up in a pit and threw stones at me. The waters closed over my head. I thought I was about to die. I have called on your name, O Lord, from the deepest pit. You heard my plea. Do not close your ears to my cry for relief. You came near on the day I called to you. You said, do not fear. O Lord, you championed my cause. You redeemed my life. You've seen the wrong done to me, O Lord. Pronounce judgment on my behalf. You have seen all their vengeance, all their plots against me. You have heard their taunts, O Lord, all their plots against me. My assailants revile and conspire against me all day long. Watch them from morning to evening. I am the object of their mocking songs. Pay them back what they deserve, O Lord, according to what they have done. Give them a distraught heart. May your curse be on them. Pursue them in anger and eradicate them from under the Lord's heaven. Okay. He is crushed by the Lord and despised by others, but he reminds himself of God's faithfulness, and so he has hope. All right. We'll keep reading in a second. My mouth was getting a little dry. Lord, help me to read clearly. Yeah. I don't know why I was having a hard time reading that last chapter, but should be better now, hopefully. All right. Alas, gold has lost its luster. Pure gold loses value. Jewels are scattered on every street corner. The precious sons of Zion were worth their weight in gold. Alas, but now they are treated like broken clay pots made by a potter. Even the jackals nurse their young at their breast, but my people are cruel like ostriches in the wilderness. The infant's tongue sticks to the roof of its mouth due to thirst. Little children beg for bread, but no one gives them even a morsel. Those who once feasted on delicacies are now starving to death in the streets. Those who grew up wearing expensive clothes are now dying amid garbage. The punishment of my people exceeds that of Sodom, which was overthrown in a moment, with no one to help her. Our consecrated ones were brighter than snow, whiter than milk. Their bodies were more ruddy than corals, their hair like lapis lazuli. Now their appearance is darker than soot. They are not recognized in the streets. Their skin has shriveled on their bones. It is dried up like tree bark. Those who die by the sword are better off than those who die of hunger. Those who waste away, struck down from lack of food. The hands of tender-hearted women cooked their own children who became their food when my people were destroyed. The Lord fully vented his wrath. He poured out his fierce anger. He started a fire in Zion. It consumed her foundations. Neither the kings of the earth nor the people of the lands ever thought that enemy or foe could enter the gates of Jerusalem. But it happened due to the sins of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests, who poured out in her midst the blood of the righteous. They wander blindly through the streets, defiled by the blood they shed, while no one dares to touch their garments. People cry to them, "Turn away, you are unclean. Turn away, don't touch us." So they have fled and wander about. But the nations say, "They may not stay here any longer." The Lord himself has scattered them. He no longer watches over them. They do not honor the priests. They did not show favor to the elders. Our eyes continually failed us as we looked in vain for help. From our watchtowers we watched for a nation that could not rescue us. Our enemies hunted us down at every step, so that we could not walk about in our streets. Our end drew near. Our days were numbered, for our end had come. Those who pursued us were swifter than eagles in the sky. They chased us over the mountains. They ambushed us in the wilderness. Our very life breath, the Lord's anointed king, was caught in their traps, of whom we thought, under his protection we will survive among the nations. Rejoice and be glad for now, O people of Edom, who reside in the land of Uz. But the cup of judgment will pass to you also. You will get drunk and take off your clothes. O people of Zion, your punishment will come to an end. He will not prolong your exile. But, O people of Edom, he will punish your sin and reveal your offenses. The people of Israel are being punished for the many wrongs they have done. Even trusting in their king has proven unsuccessful. But this punishment is temporary. All right, on to Lamentations 5. O Lord, reflect on what has happened to us. Consider and look at our disgrace. Our inheritance is turned over to strangers. Foreigners now occupy our homes. We have become fatherless orphans. Our mothers have become widows. We must pay money for our own water. We must buy our own wood at a steep price. We are pursued. They are not breathing down our necks. We are weary and have no rest. We have submitted to Egypt and Assyria in order to buy food to eat. Our forefathers sinned and are dead. But we have suffered their punishment. Slaves rule over us. There is no one to rescue us from their power. At the risk of our lives, we get our food. Because robbers lurk in the wilderness, our skin is as hot as an oven due to a fever from hunger. They raped women in Zion, virgins in the towns of Judah. Princes were hung by their hands. Elders were mistreated. The young women perform menial labor. Boys stagger from their labor. The elders are gone from the city gate. The young men have stopped playing their music. Our hearts no longer have any joy. Our dancing is turned to mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us, for we have sinned. Because of this, our hearts are sick. Because of these things, we can hardly see through our tears. For wild animals are prowling over Mount Zion, which lies desolate. But you, O Lord, reign forever. Your throne endures from generation to generation. Why do you keep on forgetting us? Why do you forsake us so long? Bring us back to yourself, O Lord, so that we may return to you. Renew our life as in days before, unless you have utterly rejected us and are angry with us beyond measure. Oof. Man, this is the end of Lamentations. If you're unsure about what's happening, basically the people have been taken away into captivity because they repeatedly rebelled against God and did all kinds of evil actions. And so now they've been taken into Babylon, where they are in, at least Jeremiah here is talking about how he's in distress, and the people are also in this distress because they've been taken away, which they thought would never happen. And they had repeated warnings to change and to, correct their wrongs, and they didn't. And so after multiple warnings, nothing changed. And so they were taken away to Babylon. And while the Babylonian exile is going on, this is Jeremiah's lament. Now, there is something I want to mention here that relates to what we're seeing here, this lament over Jerusalem, and it connects with what I was some of the things that I mentioned on Saturday when I was reading with Liv. A couple things. First of all, I mentioned that the ruins of Babylon were outside of Mosul in Iraq. It was not Mosul. It's the ruins of Nineveh that are outside of Mosul. But the ruins of Babylon are not too far from there in, in Iraq, a little bit north of Baghdad here, we'll find the ancient ruins of Babylon. And I was curious because I was looking at the ruins, and it was like, man, some of these are in really good condition. Like, they look like they've definitely been restored. This here is Babylon. This here is like the great city of Babylon. And because you look at these ruins and you're like, wait, what is going on? If we drop in right here, it's desolate, but they're not ruins. You got a few tourists walking through. But essentially, what happened was, and you can see in some places that there's different bricks from different eras, but essentially what happened was Saddam Hussein saw himself as either the descendant or the potential reincarnation or some kind of a potential successor to Nebuchadnezzar from long ago, the Nebuchadnezzar who deported all of Israel and was a, prolific builder who had the, hanging gardens of Babylon built and everything as a gift to his wife. Saddam Hussein, when he was in power in the 80s, started restoring Babylon to try to build it. He also built himself up a palace right here, which there was a village here, but instead he had the village removed so he could build a hill on top and then a palace over top. This is not the best view of it, but the palace is uninhabited. That's it there. Because he wanted to live with a view, at least one of his many palaces, with a view of Babylon, again, as a successor to Nebuchadnezzar. The thing is, the restoration work had been started, but it wasn't ever completed. And so obviously a lot of work was done to restore it, but the land stays, true to the prophecies, it stays desolate to this day. Like, you look at all this is all Babylon, the great city of Babylon. You can actually see, even on Google Maps, where the walls were of Babylon. This right here, this line right here is a wall in rubble that hit, I don't know, it's a little bit hard to tell, but there's a line right here, which is actually the walls that are in rubble, and then there's a corner right here of the ancient city walls, and then the walls continue up here. And so anyways, this is within the old city of Babylon. You can see how desolate it is. This whole area here. It's a fairly big area, and I thought that was really interesting to see. Like there's a few like little government buildings and whatever, and couple farms there, but for the most part, it is a desolate land. It is not a city. It is not a town. Babylon continues to be desolate, even though it's been built up all around it. Babylon itself is just continues in this desolation. So anyways, I thought that was really interesting, and I thought I'd share that because I thought that was really interesting. It actually continued all the way up to like this structure up here too, around here. I think the wall ended around here. Anyways, so yeah, there it is. This is what is left of Babylon is right here. And apparently there are tons and tons of jackals and like wild dogs that roam around through here now, which is also true to the prophecy, which is neat. So on that note, let's go on to a new book, the book of Ezekiel. Actually, I forgot to take my notes for the last chapter of Lamentations. Okay, let's go back. So, yeah, as it's loading, like the city of Babylon was like kind of they began to do excavations and work to like I don't know, to dig it up like for archaeological purposes in like I think the early 20th century under a German archaeologist. And I think that's part of why there's this big gate called the Ishtar Gate, which now in Babylon there is a replica of the Ishtar Gate that they built, or at least a replica of a portion of the Ishtar Gate, which according to artist depictions would have looked like this in its full glory. This is the replica that's been rebuilt in Babylon, but the actual one is in Berlin, I believe, today, in a museum in Berlin. But yeah, anyways, it was like taken apart like brick by brick and reassembled all like in Berlin. So to move something like that old intercontinentally was like an insane endeavor. But anyways, I'm gonna take a few notes for Lamentations 5, and then we'll go on to Ezekiel. There's a call on God to notice their condition and to restore them. Bring us back to yourself. All right. Yeah. Here we go. Ezekiel chapter 1. It's a new book. So this is a vision of God's glory. That's cool. Ezekiel's going to be awesome. In the 30th year, on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was among the exiles at the Kebar River, the heavens opened, and I saw a divine vision. On the 5th day of the month, it was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's exile. The Lord's message came to the priest Ezekiel, the son of Buzi, at the Kebar River, in the land of the Babylonians. The hand of the Lord came on him there. As I watched, I noticed a windstorm coming from the north, an enormous cloud with lightning flashing, such that bright light rimmed it and came from it like glowing amber from the middle of a fire. In the fire, where that looked like 4 living beings in their appearance, they had human form, but each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, but their soles of their feet were like calves' feet. They gleamed like polished bronze. They had human hands under their wings on their 4 sides. As for the faces and wings of the 4 of them, their wings touched each other. They did not turn as they moved, but went straight ahead. Their faces had this appearance. Each one of the 4 had the face of a man, with the face of a lion on the right, the face of an ox on the left, and also the face of an eagle. This is getting confusing. Their wings were spread out above them. Each had two wings touching the wings of the one of the other beings on either side, and two wings covering their bodies. Each moved straight ahead. Wherever the Spirit would go, they would go, without turning as they went. Wait. The wings are spread out. Two wings. Each was straight ahead. Okay. In the middle of the living beings was something like burning coals of fire, or like torches. It moved back and forth among the living beings. It was bright, and lightning was flashing out of the fire. The living beings moved backward and forward as quickly as flashes of lightning. Then I looked, and I saw one wheel on the ground beside each of the four beings. The appearance of the wheels and their construction was like gleaming jasper, and all four wheels looked alike. Their structure was like a wheel within a wheel. When they moved, they would go in and they would go in any of the four directions they faced, without turning as they moved. Their rims were high and awesome, and the rims of all four wheels were full of eyes all around. When the living beings moved, the wheels beside them moved. When the living beings rose up from the ground, the wheels rose up too. Wherever the Spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise up beside them, because the Spirit of the living being was in the wheel. When the beings moved, the wheels moved, and when they stopped moving, the wheels stopped. When they rose up from the ground, the wheels rose up from the ground. The wheels rose up beside them, because the Spirit of the living being was in the wheel. Over the heads of the living beings was something like a platform, glittering awesomely like ice stretched out over their heads. Under the platform, their wings were stretched out, each toward the other. Each of the beings also had two wings covering its body. When I moved, I heard the sound of their wings. It was like the sound of rushing waters, or the voice of the Sovereign One, or the tumult of an army. When they stood still, they lowered their wings. Then there was a voice from above the platform, over their heads, when they stood still. Above the platform, over their heads, was something like a sapphire shaped like a throne. High above, on the throne, was a form that appeared to be a man. I saw an amber glow like a fire enclosed all around, from his waist up. From his waist down, I saw something that looked like fire. There was a brilliant light around it, like the appearance of a rainbow. In the clouds after the rain, this was the appearance of the surrounding brilliant light. It looked like the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I threw myself face down, and I heard a voice speaking. Whew. This is crazy. Those descriptions of the four living beings are wild. Description of four living beings with wheels and eyes and wings and a pot of fire in the middle of them. This is just wild, absolutely wild. Then above the platform, there's a throne. High above on the throne was a form that appeared to be a man. Like there's a high up platform, and high above the platform there's a throne with a form that appears to be a man. And the glory of God shines, and so Ezekiel falls with his face to the ground. All right. Ezekiel 2. Man, yeah, this is a pretty epic book so far, and we're only one chapter into it. Let's keep reading. He said to me, "Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak with you." As he spoke to me, a wind came into me and stood me on my feet. And I heard the one speaking to me. He said to me, "Son of man, I am sending you to the house of Israel, to rebellious nations who have rebelled against me. Both they and their fathers have revolted against me to this very day. The people to whom I am sending you are obstinate and hard-hearted. And you must say to them, 'This is what the sovereign Lord says,' and ask for them whether they listen or not. For they are a rebellious house. They will know that a prophet has been among them. But you, son of man, do not fear them, and do not fear their words, even though briars and thorns surround you, and you live among scorpions. Do not fear their words, and do not be terrified of the looks they give you, for they are a rebellious house. You must speak my words to them, whether they listen or not, for they are rebellious. As for you, son of man, listen to what I am saying to you. Do not rebel like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I am giving you." Then I looked and realized a hand was stretched out to me, and and in it was a written scroll. He unrolled it before me, and it had writing on the front and back. Written on it were laments, mourning, and woe. All right. A wind blows that stands Ezekiel back on his feet, and he is told by God that God is sending him to speak to nations and to the nation that is identified as the rebellious house. Ezekiel's told not to rebel like they have. He is given a scroll that has laments, mourning, and woe. Mourning and woe. There you go. Different kind of mourning. Oh. There you go. All right. On to Ezekiel chapter 3 now. He said to me, "Son of man, eat what you see in front of you. Eat this scroll, and then go and speak to the house of Israel." So I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. He said to me, "Son of man, feed your stomach and fill your belly with this scroll I am giving to you." So I ate it, and it was sweet like honey in my mouth. He said to me, "Son of man, go to the house of Israel and speak my words to them. For you are not being sent to a people of unintelligible speech and difficult language, but to the house of Israel. Do not to many peoples of unintelligible speech and difficult language, whose words you cannot understand. Surely, if I had sent you to them, they would listen to you. But the house of Israel is unwilling to listen to you, because they are not willing to listen to me. For the whole house of Israel is hard-headed and hard-hearted. I have made your face adamant to match their faces, and your forehead hard to match their foreheads. I have made your forehead harder than flint, like diamond. Do not fear them or be terrified of the looks they give you, for they are a rebellious house. And he said to me, Son of man, take my words that I speak to you to heart, and listen carefully. Go to the exiles, to your fellow countrymen, and speak to them. Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says, whether they pay attention or not. When a wind lifted me up, and I heard a great rumbling sound behind me, as the glory of the Lord rose from its place. And the sound of the living beings' wings brushing against each other, and the sound of the wheels alongside them, a great rumbling sound. A wind lifted me up and carried me away. I went bitterly, my spirit full of fury, and the hand of the Lord rested powerfully on me. I came to the exiles at Tel Abib, who lived by the Kedar River. I sat dumbfounded among them there where they are living for 7 days. They were living for 7 days. At the end of the 7 days, the Lord's message came to me. Son of man, I have appointed you a watchman for the house of Israel. Whenever you hear a word from my mouth, you must give them a warning from me. When I say to the wicked, you will certainly die, and you do not warn him, you do not speak out to warn the wicked to turn from his wicked lifestyle so he may live. That wicked person will die for his iniquity, but I will hold you accountable for his death. But as for you, if you warn the wicked, and he does not turn from his wicked deeds and from his wicked lifestyle, he will die for his iniquity, but you will have saved your own life. When a righteous person turns from his righteousness and commits iniquity, and I set an obstacle before him, he will die. If you have not warned him, he will die for his sin. If you have not warned him, he will die for his sin. The righteous deeds he performed will not be considered, but I will hold you accountable for his death. However, if you warn the righteous person not to sin, and he does not sin, he will certainly live because he was warned, and you will have saved your own life. The hand of the Lord rested on me there, and he said to me, Get up and go to the valley, and I will speak with you there. So I got up and went out to the valley, and the glory of the Lord was standing there, just like the glory I had seen by the Kebar River, and I threw myself face down. Then a wind came into me and stood me on my feet. The Lord spoke to me and said, Go, shut yourself in your house. As for you, son of man, they will put ropes on you and tie you up with them, so you cannot go out among them. I will make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth, so that you will be silent and unable to reprove them, for they are a rebellious house. But when I speak with you, I will loosen your tongue, and you must say to them, This is what the sovereign Lord says. Those who listen will listen, but the indifferent will refuse, for they are a rebellious house. Wow. Okay. God is sending Ezekiel to the rebellious house of Israel, but they are very stubborn. So Ezekiel's forehead is also very hard. He is to say everything that the Lord tells him to say. When he goes to another place, he again sees the glory of the Lord and falls to the ground, and a wind picks him up. What's the name of this second place? Get up and go to the valley. Okay, it's just the valley. Okay. The second place. The first place was the Kebar River. Okay. I will loosen your tongue. Okay. Ezekiel 4. All right. He will give him words to say to the people, and some will listen, but some won't. Ezekiel 4, here we go. Oh man, some pretty crazy things he's seeing. Honestly, just those depictions of those angels would be absolutely terrifying. But then it's like when he sees the glory of God, that's when he falls down. And I think that's really, really neat. And you, son of man, take a brick, set it in front of you, inscribe a city on it, Jerusalem. Lay siege to it, build siege works against it, erect a siege ramp against it, post soldiers outside it, and station battering rams around it. Then, for your part, take an iron frying pan and set it up as an iron wall between you and the city. Set your face toward it. It is to be under siege. You are to besiege it. This is a sign for the house of Israel. Also, for your part, lie on your left side and place the iniquity of the house of Israel on it. For the number of days you lie on your side will bear their iniquity. The number of days you lie on your side, you will bear their iniquity. I have determined that the number of the years of their iniquity are to be the number of days for you, 390 days. So bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. When you have completed these days, then lie down a second time, but on your right side, and bear the iniquity of the house of Judah, 40 days. I have assigned 1 day for each year. You must turn your face toward the siege of Jerusalem, with your arm bared, and prophesy against it. Look here, I will tie you up with ropes, so you cannot turn from one side to the other until you complete the days of your siege. As for you, take wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt. Put them in a single container and make food from them for yourself. For the same number of days that you lie on your side, 390 days, you will eat it. The food you eat will be 8 ounces a day by weight. You must eat it at fixed times. And you must drink water by measure, 1.5 pints. You must drink it at fixed times. And you must eat the food as you would a barley cake. You must bake it in front of them over a fire made with dried human excrement. And the Lord said, This is how the people of Israel will eat their unclean food among the nations where I will banish them. And I said, Sovereign Lord, I have never been ceremonially defiled before. I have never eaten a carcass or an animal torn by wild beasts from my youth up. Unclean meat has never entered my mouth. So he said to me, All right then, I will substitute cow's manure instead of human excrement. You will cook your food over it. Then he said to me, Son of man, I am about to remove the bread supply in Jerusalem. They will eat their bread ration anxiously, and they will drink their water ration in terror, because they will lack bread and water. Each one will be terrified, and they will rot for their iniquity. Oh man. What an interesting sign. Okay. As a sign for Israel and Jerusalem, and Judah, Ezekiel is to make a representation of Jerusalem and then lie on his side. How many days? On his left side first? 390 days. $390 days. For Jerusalem. Then 40 days on his right side for Judah. This is what? And place the iniquity of the house of Israel on it. This one's so interesting. Prophesy against it. Yeah, for 390 days. Wait. Lie on your left side and place the iniquity of the house of Israel on it. Oh no, so this is for the house of Israel, sorry. For the house of Israel. I hope I'm understanding the days properly. This is, I have determined that the number of years of their iniquity are to be the number of days for you. 390 days. So bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. Okay. He bears the iniquity. Instructions for Ezekiel's food during this time. Very specific, regulated diet and water intake. The food he cooks will be over manure, which is it's as a sign of I'll never be ceremonially. You must eat food in front of them. This is how the people of Israel will eat their unclean food. Okay. At first, it was over human excrement. A sign to how the people will eat unclean food where they will be banished. Crazy stuff. Imagine getting that kind of a message from God. Like, do I have to? Oh man. But it is all like a sign for the rebellious people of Israel. So it's interesting for sure. As for you, son of man, take a sharp sword and use it as a barber's razor. Shave off some of the hair from your head and your beard. Then take scales and divide up the hair you cut off. Burn a third of it in the fire inside the city. When the days of your siege are completed, take a third and slash it with a sword all around the city. Scatter a third to the wind, and I will unleash a sword behind them. But take a few strands of hair from those and tie them in the ends of your garment. Again, take more of them and throw them into the fire. Burn them up, for from there a fire will spread to all the house of Israel. This is what the sovereign Lord says. This is Jerusalem. I placed her in the center of the nations, with countries all around her. And then she defiled my regulations and my statutes, becoming more wicked than the nations and the countries around her. Indeed, they have rejected my regulations, and they do not follow my statutes. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says: because you are more arrogant than the nations around you, you have not followed my statutes and have not carried out my regulations. You have not even carried out the regulations of the nations around you. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says: I am against you, and I will execute judgment among you. While the nations watch, I will do to you what I have never done before, and will never do again, because of all your abominable practices. Therefore, fathers will eat their sons within you. Jerusalem and sons will eat their fathers. I will execute judgments on you, and I will scatter any survivors to the winds. Therefore, as surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, because you defiled my sanctuary with all your detestable idols and with all your abominable practices, I will withdraw my eye. I will not pity you, nor will I spare you. A third of your people will die of plague or be overcome by the famine within you. A third of your people will fall by the sword surrounding you, and a third will scatter to the winds. I will unleash a sword behind them. Then my anger will be fully vented. I will exhaust my rage on them, and I will be appeased. Then they will know that I, the Lord, have spoken in my jealousy, when I have fully vented my rage against them. I will make you desolate and an object of scorn among the nations around you. In the sight of everyone who passes by, you will be an object of scorn and taunting, a prime example of destruction among the nations around you when I execute judgments against you in anger and raging fury. I, the Lord, have spoken. I will shoot against them deadly, destructive arrows of famine, which I will shoot to destroy you. I will prolong a famine on you and will remove the bread supply. I will send famine and wild beasts against you, and they will take your children from you. Plague and bloodshed will overwhelm you, and I will bring a sword against you. I, the Lord, have spoken. Because of their wickedness that is even greater than that of the nations around them, God will bring judgment on them. He will bring a great famine. Ezekiel 6. The Lord's message came to me: Son of man, turn toward the mountains of Israel and prophesy against them. Say, mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says: to the mountains and the hills, to the ravines and the valleys, I am bringing a sword against you, and I will destroy your high places. Your altars will be ruined in your incense altars. Your altars will be ruined, and your incense altars will be broken. I will throw down your slain in front of your idols. I will place the corpses of the people of Israel in front of their idols, and I will scatter your bones around your idols, your altars. In all your dwellings, the cities will be laid waste and the high places ruined, so that your altars will be laid waste and ruined. Your idols will be shattered and demolished. Your incense altars will be broken down and your words wiped out. The slain will fall among you, and then you will know that I am the Lord. But I will spare some of you. Some will escape the sword when you are scattered in foreign lands. Then your survivors will remember me among the nations where they are exiled. They will realize how I was crushed by their unfaithful heart that turned from me, and by their eyes that lusted after idols. They will loathe themselves because of the evil they have done and because of all their abominable practices. They will know that I am the Lord. My threats to bring this catastrophe on them were not empty. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Clap your hands, stamp your feet, and say, "Ah!" because of all the evil, abominable practices of the house of Israel, for they will fall by the sword, famine, and pestilence. The one far away will die by pestilence. The one close by will fall by the sword, and whoever is left and has escaped these will die by famine. I will fully vent my rage against them. Then you will know that I am the Lord when their dead lie among their idols, all around their altars, on every high hill, and on the mountaintops, under every green tree and every leafy oak, the places where they have offered fragrant incense to all their idols. I will stretch out my hand against them and make the land a desolate waste, from the wilderness to Riblah, in all the high places where they live. Then they will know that I am the Lord. All right. Coming judgment on the mountains for their high places. Coming judgment on the people for their many evil deeds and idolatry. Ezekiel 7. The Lord's message came to me. You, son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to the land of Israel. An end. The end is coming on the four corners of the land. The end is now upon you, and I will release my anger against you. I will judge you according to your behavior. I will hold you accountable for all your abominable practices. My eye will not pity you. I will not spare you, for I will hold you responsible for your behavior, and you will suffer the consequences of your abominable practices. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. A disaster, a one-of-a-kind disaster, is coming. An end comes. The end comes. It has awakened against you. Look, it is coming. Doom is coming upon you who live in the land. The time's coming. The day is near. There are sounds of tumult, not shouts of joy on the mountains. Soon, now I will pour out my rage on you. I will fully vent my anger against you. I will judge you according to your behavior. I will hold you accountable for all your abominable practices. My eye will not pity you. I will not spare you. For your behavior, I will hold you accountable, and you will suffer the consequences of your abominable practices. Then you will know that it is I, the Lord, who is striking you. Look, it is coming. Doom has gone out. The staff has budded. Pride has blossomed. Violence has grown into a staff that supports wickedness. Not one of them will be left, not one from their crowd, not from their wealth, not from the crowd, not from their wealth, not from their prominence. The time has come. The day is struck. The customer should not rejoice, nor the seller mourn. The divine wrath comes against their whole crowd. The customer will no longer pay the seller while both parties are alive. For the vision against the whole crowd will not be revoked. Each person for his iniquity will fail to preserve his life. They have blown the trumpet, and everyone is ready, but no one goes to battle, because my anger is against their whole crowd. The sword is outside. Pestilence and famine are inside the house. Whoever is in the open field will die by the sword, and famine and pestilence will consume everyone in the city. Their survivors will escape to the mountains and become like doves in the valleys. All of them will moan, each one for his iniquity. All their hands will hang limp. Their knees will be wet with urine. They will wear sackcloth. Terror will cover them. Shame will be on all their faces, and all their heads will be shaved bald. They will discard their silver in the streets, and their gold will be treated like filth. Their silver and gold will not be able to deliver them on the day of the Lord's fury. They will not satisfy their hunger or fill their stomachs, because their wealth was the obstacle leading to their iniquity. They rendered the beauty of his ornaments into pride, and with it they made their abominable images, their detestable idols. Therefore I will render it filthy to them. I will give it to foreigners as loot, to the world's wicked ones as plunder, and they will desert it. I will turn my face away from them, and they will desecrate my treasured place. Vandals will enter it and desecrate it. Make the chain, because the land is full of murder, and the city is full of violence. I will bring the most wicked of the nations, and they will take possession of their houses. But I will put an end to the arrogance of the stronghold, and their sanctuaries will be desecrated. Terror is coming. They will seek peace, but find none. Disaster after disaster will come, and one rumor after another. They will seek a vision from a prophet. Priestly instruction will disappear, along with the counsel from the elders. The king will mourn, and the prince will be clothed with shuddering. The hands of the people of the land will tremble. Based on their behavior, I will deal with them, and by their standard of justice I will judge them. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Whew. Okay. The end, judgment is coming, and they cannot save themselves, even with their gold and riches. There will be disasters. Ezekiel 8 now. All right. A desecrated temple. Oof. In the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th of the month, as I was sitting in my house with the elders of Judah sitting in front of me, the hand of the sovereign Lord seized me. As I watched, I noticed a form that appeared to be a man. From his waist downward was something like fire, and from his waist upward, something like a brightness, like an amber glow. He stretched out the form of a hand and grabbed me by a lock of hair on my head. Then a wind lifted me up between the earth and sky and brought me to Jerusalem by divine visions, to the door of the inner gate that faces north, where the statue that provokes to jealousy was located. Then I perceived that the glory of the God of Israel was there, as in the vision I had seen earlier in the valley. He said to me, "Look, son of man, look up toward the north." So I looked up toward the north, and I noticed to the north of the altar gate was this statue of jealousy at the entrance. He said to me, "Son of man, do you see what they are doing, the great abominations that the people of Israel are practicing here, to drive me far from my sanctuary? But you will see greater abominations than these." He brought me to the entrance of the court, and as I watched, I noticed a hole in the wall. He said to me, Son of man, dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall and discovered a doorway. He said to me, Go in and see the evil abominations they are practicing here. So I went in and looked. I noticed every figure of creeping thing and beast, detestable images, and every idol of the house of Israel engraved on the wall all around. 70 men from the elders of the house of Israel, with Jazaniah, son of Shaphan, standing among them, were standing in front of them, each with a censer in his hand, and fragrant vapors from a cloud of incense were swirling upward. He said to me, Do you see, son of man, what the elders of the house of Israel are doing in the dark? Each in the chamber of his idolatrous images, for they think the Lord does not see us. The Lord has abandoned the land. He said to me, You will see them practicing even greater abominations. Oof. Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the Lord's house. I noticed women sitting there weeping for Tammuz. He said to me, Did you see this, son of man? You will see even greater abominations than these. And then he brought me to the inner court of the Lord's house. Right there at the entrance to the Lord's temple, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs to the Lord's temple facing east. They were worshiping the sun toward the east. He said to me, Do you see, son of man? It is a trivial thing that the house of Judah commits these abominations. They are practicing here, for they have filled the land with violence and provoked me to anger still further. Look, they are putting the branch to their nose. Therefore I will act with fury. My eyes will not pity them, nor will I spare them. When they have shouted in my ears, I will not listen to them. Ezekiel gets a vision in which he sees elders of Israel committing all kinds of secret idolatrous acts. He sees people in the inner court of the temple turned away, facing the east, worshiping the sun. Ezekiel 9. Then he shouted in my ears, Approach you, who are to visit destruction on the city, each with his destructive weapon in his hand. Next, I noticed 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate that faces north, each with his war club in his hand. Among them was a man dressed in linen, with a writing kit at his side. They came and stood beside the bronze altar. Then the glory of the God of Israel went up from the cherub where it had rested to the threshold of the temple. He called to the man dressed in linen who was writing kit at his side. The Lord said to him, Go through the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of the people who moan and groan over all the abominations practiced in it. While I listened, he said to the others, Go through the city and after him and strike people down. Do not let your eye pity nor spare anyone. Old men, young women, little children, and women, wipe them out, but do not touch anyone who has the mark. Begin my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were at the front of the temple. He said to them, Defile the temple and fill the courtyards with corpses. Go. So they went out and struck people down throughout the city. While they were striking them down, I was left alone, and I threw myself face down and cried out, Sovereign Lord, will you destroy the entire remnant of Israel when you pour out your fury on Jerusalem? He said to me, The sin of the house of Israel and Judah is extremely great. The land is full of murder, and the city is full of corruption. For they say, The Lord has abandoned the land, and the Lord does not see. But as for me, my eye will not pity them, nor will I spare them. I hereby repay them for what they have done. Next, I noticed the man dressed in linen, with the writing kit at his side, bringing back word. I have done just as you commanded me. Whew. Okay. Oh, man. Instructions for the mark on a forehead for those who are faithful to be protected. Ezekiel chapter 10. As I watched, I saw the platform above the top of the cherubim, something like a sapphire, resembling the shape of a throne appearing above. The Lord said to the man dressed in linen, "Go between the wheelwork, but underneath the cherubim. Fill your hands with burning coals from among the cherubim, and scatter them over the city." He went as I watched. The cherubim were standing on the south side of the temple when the man went in, and a cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord arose from the cherub and moved to the threshold of the temple. The temple was filled with the cloud, while the court was filled with the brightness of the Lord's glory. The sound of wings of the cherubim could be heard from the outer court, like the sound of the sovereign God when he speaks. When the Lord commanded the man dressed in linen, "Take fire from within the wheelwork, from among the cherubim," the man went in and stood by one of the wheels. Then one of the cherubim stretched out his hand toward the fire that was among the cherubim. He took some and put it into the hands of the man dressed in linen, who took it and left. The cherubim appeared to have the form of human hands under their wings. As I watched, I noticed 4 wheels by the cherubim, 1 wheel beside each cherub. The wheels gleamed like jasper. As for their appearance, all 4 of them looked the same, something like a wheel within a wheel. When they moved, they would go in any of the 4 directions they faced without turning as they moved. Along with their entire bodies, their backs, their hands, and their wings, the wheels of the 4 of them were full of eyes all around. As for the wheels, they were called the wheelwork. As I listened, each of the cherubim had 4 faces. The first was the face of a cherub, the second that of a man, the third that of a lion, and the fourth that of an eagle. The cherubim rose up. These were the living beings that I saw at the Kebar River. When the cherubim moved, the wheels moved beside them. When the cherubim spread their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels did not move from their side. When the cherubim stood still, the wheels stood still. And when they rose up, the wheels rose up with them, for the spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. Then the glory of the Lord moved away from the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim. The cherubim spread their wings, and they rose up from the earth while I watched. When they went, the wheels went alongside them. They stopped at the entrance of the east gate of the Lord's temple as the glory of the God of Israel hovered over them. These were the living creatures that I saw at the Kebar River, underneath the God of Israel. I knew that they were cherubim. Each had 4 faces, each had 4 wings, and the form of human hands under the wings. As for the form of their faces, they were the faces of whose appearance I had seen at the Kebar River. Each one moved straight ahead. Ezekiel sees the 4 cherubim again. These are the same beings he had seen at the Kebar River. further description of them. All right, Ezekiel 11. A wind lifted me up and brought me to the east gate of the Lord's temple that faces the east. There at the entrance of the gate, I noticed 25 men. Among them I saw Jaazaniah, son of Azur, and Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, officials of the people. The Lord said to me, Son of man, these are the men who plot evil and give wicked advice in this city. They say, the time is not near to build houses. The city is a cooking pot, and we are the meat in it. Therefore prophesy against them. Prophesy, Son of man. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon me and said to me, Say, this is what the Lord says. This is what you are thinking. O house of Israel, I know what goes through your minds. You have killed many people in the city. You have filled its streets with corpses. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. The corpses you have dumped in the midst of the city are the meat, and this city is the cooking pot, but I will take you out of it. You fear the sword, so the sword I will bring against you, declares the sovereign Lord. But I will take you out of the city, and I will hand you over to foreigners. I will execute judgments on you. You will die by the sword. I will judge you at the border of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This city will not be a cooking pot for you, and you will not be meat within it. I will judge you at the borders of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord, whose statutes you have not followed and whose regulations you have not carried out. Instead, you have behaved according to the regulations of the nations around you. Now, while I was prophesying, Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, died. Then I threw myself face down and cried out to the Lord with a loud voice, Alas, sovereign Lord, you are completely wiping out the remnant of Israel. Then the Lord's message came to me, Son of man, your brothers, your relatives, and the whole house of Israel, all of them are those to whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, They have gone far away from the Lord to us. This land has been given as a possession. Therefore say, This is what the sovereign Lord says. Although I have removed them far away among the nations and have dispersed them among the countries, I have been a little sanctuary for them among the lands where they have gone. Therefore say, This is what the sovereign Lord says. When I regather you from the peoples and assemble you from the lands where you have been dispersed, I will give you back the country of Israel. When they return to it, they will remove from it all its detestable things and all its abominations. I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within them. I will remove their hearts of stone from their bodies, and I will give them tender hearts, so that they may follow my statutes and observe my regulations and carry them out. Then they will be my people, and I will be their God. But those whose hearts are devoted to detestable things and abominations, I hereby repay them for what they have done, says the sovereign Lord. And then the cherubim spread their wings with their wheels alongside them, while the glory of the God of Israel hovered above them. The glory of the Lord rose up from within the city and stopped over the mountain east of it. Then a wind lifted me up and carried me to the exiles in Babylonia. In the vision given to me by the Spirit of God, then the vision I had seen went up from me. So I told the exiles everything the Lord had shown me. Man. Okay. In this vision, there will be judgment judgment. Hold on. There was a verse I wanted to. When they return to it, they will remove all its abominations. They will follow my statutes and observe my regulations. Okay. When they return and live as they should according to God's commandments and regulations, God will remove their heart of stone to give them a heart of flesh. All right. Ezekiel 12. This is our final chapter for the morning, by the way. So let's get into it. Previewing the exile. Ooh, a little bit of some more foreshadowing. All right. The Lord's message came to me. Son of man, you are living in the midst of a rebellious house. They have eyes to see, but do not see, and ears to hear, but do not hear, because they are a rebellious house. Therefore, son of man, pack up your belongings, and as if for exile, during the day, while they are watching, pretend to go into exile. Go from where you live to another place. Perhaps they will understand, although they are a rebellious house. Bring out your belongings, packed for exile during the day while they are watching, and go out at evening while they are watching, as if for exile. While they are watching, dig a hole in the wall and carry your belongings out through it. While they are watching, raise your baggage onto your shoulder and carry it out in the dark. You must cover your face so that you cannot see the ground, because I have made you an object lesson to the house of Israel. So I did just as I was commanded, carried out my belongings, packed for exile during the day, and at evening I dug myself a hole through the wall with my hands. I went out in the darkness, carrying my baggage on my shoulder while they watched. The Lord's message came to me in the morning. Son of man, has not the house of Israel, that rebellious house, said to you, what are you doing? Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. The prince will raise this burden in Jerusalem and all the house of Israel within it. I say, I am an object lesson for you. Just as I have done, so it will be done to them. They will go into exile and captivity. The prince who is among them will raise his belongings onto his shoulder in darkness and will go out. He will dig a hole in the wall to leave through. He will cover his face so that he cannot see the land with his eyes, but I will throw my net over him, and he will be caught in my snare. I will bring him to Babylon, the land of the Chaldeans, but he will not see it, and there he will die. All his retinue, his attendants and his troops, I will scatter to every wind. I will unleash a sword behind them. Then they will know that I am the Lord when I disperse them among the nations and scatter them among foreign countries. But I will let a small number of them survive the sword, famine, and pestilence, so that they can confess all their abominable practices to the nations where they go. Then they will know that I am the Lord. The Lord's message came to me. Son of man, eat your bread with trembling and drink your water with anxious shaking. Then say to the people of the land, this is what the sovereign Lord says about the inhabitants of Jerusalem and the land of Israel. They will eat their bread with anxiety and drink their water in fright, for their land will be stripped bare of all it contains because of the violence of all who live in it. The inhabited towns will be left in ruins, and the land will be devastated. Then you will know that I am the Lord. The Lord's message came to me, Son of man, what is this proverb you have in the land of Israel? The days pass slowly, even every vision fails. Therefore tell them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I hereby end this proverb. They will not receive it in Israel any longer. But say to them, the days are at hand when every vision will be fulfilled, for there will no longer be any false visions or flattering omens amidst the house of Israel. For I, the Lord, will speak. Whatever word I speak, whatever word I speak will be accomplished. It will not be delayed any longer. Indeed, in your days, O rebellious house, I will speak the word and accomplish it, declares the sovereign Lord. The Lord's message came to me. Take note, Son of man. The house of Israel is saying the vision that he sees for distant days, he is prophesying about the far future. Therefore say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. None of my words will be delayed any longer. The word I speak will come to pass, declares the sovereign Lord. All right, that brings us to the end of our reading this morning. This is interesting. There's definitely some wild stuff, some crazy descriptions, some interesting object lessons that God had for Ezekiel to do as visuals for the people, and some pretty scary prophecies as well. So, tomorrow we'll keep going. We'll keep going with Ezekiel tomorrow. This is really interesting. I guess I'll pray and then we'll end the stream. Lord God, thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for this morning, this time that we've had to reflect and read your word. I pray, God, that you would help us to heed your warnings, to walk in righteousness, to walk in the ways that you've called us to walk. Lord, I thank you that you've called us to you, to life in you and through you. Lord, I pray that the words we read would not just fall flat and be forgotten after this stream ends. But Lord, I pray that they would stay with us throughout the day. Lord, that what we are to learn, that we would learn and grow. Thank you, God, for your word. I pray in your mighty name, Yeshua. Amen. Have an absolute wonderful day, and I guess tune in tomorrow to find out the rest of what happens in Ezekiel, or at least the next part of what will happen in Ezekiel. See you tomorrow. God bless you.